Raga, 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 Raga. So we're out here because today's the last day of early voting, and over the next few days and over the past week, we've had a chance and we have the opportunity to elect democratic leadership that really embodies our values, embodies what progress means, embodies what transformation means, and embodies what grassroots means. We're at a turning point and intersection in our society that one vote does matter, two votes does matter, a choice matters. And that's what Stephen represents. He represents a choice of leadership, a choice of change, and a choice of identity. He's been on the ground. He's been on the ground for months, and not even for months, being your Democratic candidate. He's been on the months as a community leader, as a public servant, as an organizer, not just in the past 5 years, not the past 10 years, but ever since his early days in high school and in college. And that's what embodies a transformative leader. And we're out here today with folks in the community, with folks who are elected in government, who are the best and the brightest of all of us here, who tries and works on a daily basis to change the world and change what New York can be for the better, to provide testimony as to why Stephen Raga is the candidate for this district, for this candidate in Queens, and this the candidate to lead New York for the better. And to kick it off, I'd love to pass it over to Congresswoman Grace Meng, who, as the first Asian American elected to Congress in New York State, we were not. We're gonna say it even louder for the folks in the back, right? So she was elected as first Asian American to Congress in New York State. Congressmember Meng works to advocate for inclusive policies that benefit the vulnerable, the most marginalized in New York and in DC. She's been a national leader on issues pertaining to menstrual hygiene, product safety, availability, and we've been working with her on the ground and in DC to talk about issues to create a space where Asian American Pacific Islander community is no longer invisible, where she's been representative for us to create visibility for us. And I'd love to pass it off to her as our first speaker. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Clifford. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Congresswoman Grace Meng, and it's such an honor to be back here with this crew who helped Stephen win during the primary, making a historic win for our assembly district here. And I'm so proud to be here once again as we remind everyone to please invite your neighbors, your friends, co-workers, your family members to get out the vote. Tuesday is a very important election. We cannot take any vote for granted. We must make sure to remind everyone we can. I'm so looking forward to working with Steve. Steve's victory is historic. He is a trailblazer. He has always been here for our community and has continued to be inclusive and unite the diverse pockets of our various communities here in Queens. So I just want to be here to remind everyone, get everyone you can out to vote. Every single vote counts, and we can't wait to elect Stephen Raga as our next assembly member for this district.
Thank you, Congressmember Meng. Again, her words are as inspiring as the leadership she provides to the community. To pass it off to the next speaker, I'd like to introduce a dear friend, a king of the court, very truly king of the court, even though I know when I'm on the court, I'm gonna be winning against him. But as Queensborough President, Donovan Richards has led efforts to boost COVID-19 vaccinations, has prioritized economic development, and worked to improve climate resiliency. He's been a leader and advocate also for our community. I was given the opportunity to work with him when he was coming up and formulating the Immigrant Center, and we were outreaching for the API community, which Stephen helped lead and helped support with gathering information on the ground. So without further ado, I'd love to introduce it to Queensborough President Donovan Richards.
Thank you. Are y'all ready? Are y'all fired up for Stephen? Are you fired up? Are you ready to do this? Because it is such an important moment in our history right now. I think about this park. I think about the folks who were in Elmhurst Hospital during the height of this pandemic, people who lost their lives in this community. And when we think about those folks who lost their lives, they were people who look like us. Folks from our communities, communities that are historically underserved, have felt historically underrepresented, might have felt like the halls of government did not belong to them. But that's why representation is so important. It's not everything, but it is. We have to make sure we're having less taxation across the borough and more representation of the people in our borough. And Stephen is going to do that when he makes history. Being the first Filipino elected to the state ever. Trailblazer anywhere. Yes, all right. I didn't do the research, so you know Twitter bots follow me, so I don't want to say anything wrong. But truly, it is important because I know there are many folks who sacrificed for this moment, who prayed for this moment to come, and now is our moment. And I can say that, being the first black man to be borough president here in Queens County, and standing with my colleagues here, many of them, John Liu, Grace, trailblazers in their own rights, cracking that glass ceiling. So this election is so important because it's really about not just coming out of this pandemic and building back. We're going to need partners in Albany that are going to help us to build back better. And what does build back better mean? It means infrastructure, investments in environmental justice. It means investments. Shaker represents this neighborhood now. We're doing this park over. But that's important. And why is that important? Because once again, coming out of this pandemic, we must ensure that we're investing in communities, once again, that have historically been left behind. So I am really charged up. I'm not believing the polls. The only polls we need to believe is us marching into the polls to vote. Those are the polls you believe. If we go out and do what we need to do, we will have Stephen Raga, we will have Grace Ming and John Liu and Brother Hevesy, Assemblymember Hevesy. Did I leave anyone else? Shaker, you don't have an election, but next year we'll vote for you. And I don't have one in 2025. Jennifer, you got an election? I don't even know. No, she's unopposed. Right. So this is a real moment for us. We got to take it seriously. Democrats, get out and vote. If we get out and vote, we will hold this state. It's a critical moment for us. Such a critical moment. With that being said, also vote Kathy Hochul. Vote Kathy Hochul. In Delgado as well. With that being said, God bless you all. I am ready and fired up. We're going to be out there, get out there, knock some doors, make phone calls, leaflet, whatever you need to do. But let's leave it all on the battlefield. Congratulations in advance. Assemblymember Raga.
Thank you, Queensborough President, for those kind words. I want to just shout out the kid who just stopped with the bike here, listening to this conversation. It's important. I know you're smiling right now, but it's important for you to listen to this and take a look at all of your elected leadership here. If you want, you can. If you want to come over, you can. You're the future. They're laying the groundwork so that when you're ready to take leadership, you have an easier spot and you understand. Bring the bike. So again, thank you for those kind remarks. I have the pleasure to introduce our next speaker. As the chair of the Children and Families Committee, Assemblymember Hevesy has worked to pass crucial legislation to protect our youth. He is a proud champion of issues like universal child care, increasing wages for the child care workforce, and expanding child care subsidies for families in need. I'd like everyone in the committee to welcome Assemblymember Hevesy to the podium here.
That never happens. Please come to my house. That would be fantastic. So, hi everybody, I'm going to speak very briefly. My name is Andy Hevesy. I've been in the Assembly for, I can't believe this, 17 years. I'm old. I used to have a future. But, when you're in the legislature for so long, you can tell talent. And Steve has that kind of talent that we need in the legislature. We need your drive, and we need your fight. We need it now, because this is a dangerous time. So right now, there is a competitive race for governor, but it's not just about the two people who are running. It's about ideas. And the Republicans are running, with due respect, on lies. Flat out lies, one after the other. Even their solutions are lies. So you see that those lies have the potential to swing elections. That's why it's crucially important that we get out and we have fighters like Steve and Grace, Donovan, and Jennifer, and even John Liu. But this is a crucially important time for us. Look, this gubernatorial election goes one of two ways. Either we have somebody like Kathy Hochul who is willing to listen and work with us, or we have somebody who's going to try to stop everything that we do. period. He's going to cut money for abortion. He's going to try to get rid of laws that we fought for years. It's a terrible, dangerous time, which is why we need fighters like Stephen Raga with us. So I'm just honored to be here. Steve, there is a future in the Assembly. I hope you find it. Thank you, everybody, for allowing me to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Assemblymember Hevesi. And he said it best, vote blue across the ballot. We're at, again, an intersection and a crossroads where we have the opportunity to be on the winning side of history, the opportunity to fight and to achieve progress. Welcoming the next speaker to the floor, Councilmember Shaker Krishnan has been a long-time community activist and civil rights attorney. He is focused on advocating for marginalized communities in New York City, not just in his own district, but citywide. So we have the pleasure and we want to welcome him to the stage here at this current moment. Councilmember Shaker Krishnan.
Good afternoon, everyone. Are we here to get Stephen Raga elected? Yeah! Are we here to get Stephen Raga elected? Yeah! Are we here to get Stephen Raga elected? Yeah! All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shaker Krishnan, and I'm the council member for this district of Elmhurst and Jackson Heights, Queens. And we know and we have heard how crucial this election is for immigrant justice, for housing justice, for reproductive rights. And I want to give you 3 unassailable reasons why you need to go out and vote Steve Raga for assembly for this district. First, he's been doing the work for a long time in this community. And I've known him for many years, even before I was in the city council too. We have worked together, organizing, fighting for immigrant communities. He brings that perspective with him to government to make sure that the voices often least heard in Albany are now heard for sure. 2, representation, as Borough President Richards mentioned, is essential. I'm proud to be fighting alongside the first Filipino American elected, or going to be elected in New York State, as the first Indian American ever elected to city government in New York City's history before. That's right. It is time that our communities finally have voices in government, and that we are getting resources and services in our languages. The government sees us for who we are and advocates for us. And that's the power of representation that Steve brings to the state legislature. And number 3, he knows these communities firsthand. The fact that Steve, as Donovan mentioned, the fact that Steve chose to hold this rally here in this park, that means so much to so many of us, for our families that come and their children who play here, for the workers at Elmhurst Hospital who eat lunch here during the breaks in their shifts. We're going to work together to fully renovate this park. And that's right, that's right. And for someone like Steve to hold this rally here as a GOTV rally shows that he understands not only how important our public spaces are to a community like ours that has so little in terms of public space, but also how meaningful they are to our community and the history of them too. So to everyone who was here and who's listening, everyone get out and vote for Steve Raga at a time like this when our politics is so perilous, when the forces of hate and bigotry, we've seen them right here in our own neighborhood. I need a colleague, we need a colleague in government who will stand with us to fight back. And Steve is that person. So let's get out there, Queens. Let's get him elected.
Yes!
Here's your sign. Thank you, Councilmember. He talked about firsts. He talked about firsts. We have a lot of firsts in the crowd over here. We have the first we have the first South Asian woman to ever get elected into the state assembly, into New York State Assembly here. And right before I introduce her, I want to just mention that Assemblywoman Jennifer Rajkumar made history again as the first South Asian American woman ever to be elected in the state office in New York. In Albany, she's worked to protect immigrants and passed landmark legislation, including the establishment of New York. Folks, we have a rainbow coalition here of elected leaders and community members who come from different creeds, different faiths, different backgrounds, different ethnicities. And I think that's a true testimony and a true testament up to what Steve can do when he can bring people together. That's his best attribute. Steve can bring folks of different ages, of different creeds, of different backgrounds together and unite us under a spirit of true leadership that we only not need, but we deserve when we talk about what New York can be 2 years from now and 4 years from now. So without further ado, I'd love to bring to the stage the first South Asian American woman to the New York State Assembly, Jennifer Rajkumar.
All right. When I say Steve, you say Raga. Steve. Raga. Steve. Raga. Steve. Raga. Steve. Raga. When I say ready to, you say win. Ready to. Win. Ready to. Win. Ready to. Win. Ready to. Win. All right. It's my favorite time of year. election season. And in 2 days, we are going to make history when we elect the first Filipino American to a New York State office. And I want to tell you a little story. And that is that in the 1970s, my family came to this country with little. And today I'm standing here as the first South Asian woman elected in New York State. And around the same time, another family came to this country with little. And that was Steve Raga's family. And now he's going to be elected to the New York State Assembly. We are filling our state government with young, dynamic leaders. And we're all going to work together to make incredible change in Albany. We're going to work with Andrew Hevesy. And we're going to have Steve Raga. And we're going to work with John Liu in the state senate. And we're going to do great things in the state capitol. But there's more reasons to support Steve Raga. He is a proud product of CUNY and SUNY. Let's hear it for CUNY and SUNY. He's the best and the brightest. He won his primary by over 70%. And that's for a reason. Steve Raga is on the ground. He's on the ground talking to communities, understanding our communities. And he's experienced in government. He's not new to this. So when he goes to Albany, he will be able to hit the ground running. And one last thing. Elections are decided by those who show up.
Yes.
So we got to show up.
Yes.
And when Democrats vote, Democrats win. Democrats vote, Democrats win. So we all have to go out and we've got to vote Steve Raga, and we've got to vote row A all the way. And that means Governor Kathy Hochul, Lieutenant Governor Delgado. We got to vote for our great Congresswoman, my sister Grace Meng.
Yes.
We got to vote for Senator John Liu, our great pathbreaker. And so let's go. It's 2 days. Let's win this.
Yes. Come on, energy, people. Energy.
Thank you, Assemblywoman. Next, I have the honor to introduce, he's an enthusiast of many things. One, I think he's a resident Iron Man of Queens. Yeah.
Thanks, Cliff. Thanks, Cliff. I love so everybody said everything already. The only thing I will add on a serious note really is that we haven't forgotten the years of anti-Asian hate we've been experiencing. And the anti-Asian hate had been originally fomented by the former president himself, calling it the China virus, the Kung flu. And seemingly was directed against the Chinese American community, but in fact, all AAPI communities were affected. So many of the victims were Filipino, and they were attacked and told to go back to China. I mean, think about that. We are still in a stage in history where we are identified by how we look. And that's why we have to show a great deal of solidarity with each other. The AAPI community, as we are fighting hate, we have to be one community. And in Albany, we have a tremendous AAPI initiative in the form of historic levels of budgetary resources. And when Steve Raga gets elected to Albany, he's going to double that single-handedly. That's what he promised me. Right? So we need to make history. The first Filipino American elected to anything in New York. And he will make all of our AAPI communities and the broader community, the district that he represents, extremely proud. So Steve, you know, it's already been mentioned, he's got a lot of experience. He's been organizing the community ever since he had a full head of hair. Donovan and I had a full head of hair back then too. I don't know how Andy Hevesy does it. It's not fair. By the way, Andy, take lots of pictures now because you don't know what's coming down. I'm talking about Andy Hevesy and Andy Yee. In any event, let's get Steve Raga elected. We're just 2 days away from this election.
2 days and 5 hours away, 2 days and 4 hours away from victory. And so, you know, this is Steve's election. It's going to mean a lot to the Filipino American community. It's going to mean a lot to the AAPI community. It's going to mean a lot to all of Queens and everyone here. But thank you so much.
Yeah, preach it, John.
Thank you, Senator Liu. For the next speaker, I'd love to invite a representative of Drum Beats. With thousands of members across New York City, Drum Beats has been a force in organizing the South Asian Indo-Caribbean communities in order to transform political systems so that we can serve communities through a collective vision of solidarity. And I'd like to introduce Speaker Doma Lama to the floor.
Hello, everyone. All right, first, let's give it up to everyone who has been here day and night working to get out to vote. Let's give it up. My name is Doma Lama. I'm representing Drum Beats here. We organize South Asian and Indo-Caribbean communities to build their political power, right? And we chose Stephen. Our members at Drum Beats chose Stephen because we believe that Stephen is the one in District 30 who's going to represent our South Asian and Indo-Caribbean community. A lot of them. Yeah. Working class families. Don't worry about it. So, yes, this time it's a lot at stake, right? So we definitely need to get out to vote. And we definitely need, even for those who cannot vote, a lot of our Drum Beats members, they're hitting up the street. I want to give it up for them. They have been door knocking, they have been phone banking for Stephen and many other our left candidates who have been representing our working class immigrant families, right? Who keep the city running. So let's get out to vote.
Thank you so much. And for our next speaker, I'd like to introduce a man that's been working hard to not only elect Democrats all across the city and state of New York, but a man who's been an advocate and true leader in the Asian American community, Leader Andy Chen.
Right, good afternoon. I'm just gonna keep it brief. We have less than 53 hours, right? So there's a lot of heat out there, a lot of anger out there, a lot of hate out there. What we need to do is just stay focused, right? Stay focused, call everyone that you can, send out the text, have your friends, your family, your parents to do that. That's what I have my parents to do, right? So next year they will get their parents' gift. So stay focused, 53 hours away, you know, every vote counts, and, you know, just, you know, share with everyone, you know, we're happy to elect Stephen Raga as first Filipino American to State Assembly. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Andy. I think in our final speaker before we introduce the man of the hour, today we're joined by NYC Action, an organization fighting to ensure that all New Yorkers can thrive in New York State. New NYC Action envisions a political system that respects immigrant voices and is responsive to the diverse community needs. Please welcome Kim Corona to the stage.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Kim. I'm the Organizing and Comms Associate with NYC Action. I'm really excited to be here and get out the vote for Stephen Raga. As everyone knows, Stephen has had a lot of experience in really building community here as like a little kid, and you know, in serving these communities, he's made sure that New Yorkers had the proper resources and overall services available for them when it came to their needs. And I know that he'll continue to do the same once in Albany. And we need fighters like Stephen who really uplift and center our immigrant communities at the city and state level. And with that, NYC Action is really grateful and so excited to endorse Stephen Raga for State Assembly. And right now, every conversation now until, you know, Election Day is really crucial. And so, you know, let's get out, you know, knock on doors. Every phone bank conversation that we have is important. So let's get out the vote for Stephen.
Thank you, Kim, for those words. Again, everyone here, every leader here has said it best. Vote. vote on election day and vote for blue across the ballot, vote for Stephen Raga, vote for your governor, your lieutenant governor, your state senator, your congressional members. And so now it's time to finally introduce the man of the hour, the man who's going to lead change in the district and work alongside all these colleagues, the man who's going to envision what Queens can be not now, but in 2, 3, and years from now into the future. So Stephen Brian Raga, and I love to call him Brian, I know he hates it. Brian. Stephen Raga is a Queens native and longtime Woodside resident, the proud son of Filipino immigrants. He has dedicated himself to raising up our community as an activist, as Chief of Staff for Assembly District 30, and recently as the Executive Director of Woodside on the Move. None of those positions, which he had here, by the way. And now he will take this advocacy to Albany, where he will fight for our community, where he will work to ensure that the needs of our neighbors will be addressed, and where he will make history as the first Filipino elected in New York State without hair. So with or without hair, with or without hair. So without further ado, we'd like to invite Stephen Raga to say his words to the community at this time.
Thanks everybody for coming here. Elmhurst, you ready to get out the vote? Yeah! Assembly District 30, you ready to get out the vote? Yeah! Queens, you ready to take this through the finish line? Yeah! Guys, we are 2 days away to finishing this up. And we've done our work. We've been at the train stations when people are going to work, people are coming back to work. We've been at the poll sites when it opens. We've been at the poll sites when it's closing. We are making the calls, we're doing the text, we're doing the outreach, we're doing everything we can to make sure that they're voting for us, and they're making sure that they're not only voting for Steve Raga for AD 30, but like mentioned, Kathy Hochul for governor, making sure you flip the ballot and making sure you vote yes on the propositions there. So we are putting every minute we can to making sure we're putting pressure on our community so that we come Tuesday, we're not in a position when we might have to say, did we elect someone that's going to make it an uphill battle to fight for housing rights in our city? Do we have someone where it's going to be an uphill battle where we're going to be fighting for, hey, Catalina. Hey, Catalina. So we want to make sure that we have the right people in the right spot. So it's going to be a hectic finish here. I know everybody is working around the clock. And helping all of our other colleagues. We just came from Eastern Queens, and we're helping Tobias Stavinsky to knock doors over there in Queens Village. We want to make sure that also that around our state, we're electing our Democrats to represent us and all colors and all demographics that have historically been not included, including, of course, the large and growing Asian American community here in Elmhurst and in Woodside. So, guys, it's the last few days. Make sure you get out the vote. Make sure you call everybody. Make a plan with your family. Make a plan with your friends to get out the vote. Call people that you cannot stand and let them know this is an election that we need them to make sure they come out on Tuesday. And let's bring this home and let's go for the win this Tuesday. Thanks a lot, guys.
Raga, 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 Raga.
And definitely, I'm here to last, but most important, maybe here, our assembly member that I'm taking it from you, right? Is that it? Let's all give a hand for Assembly Member Catalina Cruz.
So I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. I used to represent this part of the neighborhood, and now it's going to our future assembly member, Steve Raga, but he will not be our future assembly member unless everybody goes out to vote and votes for him and votes for Democrats. And I say that because there's this feeling of, oh, everything is fine, we don't need to go out and vote, and that is not correct. We still need to go out and vote. If you didn't get a chance to today, Tuesday, the polls are going to be open a long time. You have no excuse. It takes 5 minutes. In, out, you can change the future of this state. And we want you to help us change the future of this state by electing Steve Raga, who's going to be well, you're going to be the first Filipino American to be in elected office.
Yes!
Joining our growing, there she left. Okay, no. We have a growing number of South Asians and Asians in our state legislature and Shaker. Well, you're in the city council, you know, it's okay. I gotta give him, everybody who knows this knows that this is exactly what I do every time I see him. But in all seriousness, you know, we need folks in elected office that look like our community, that have felt what our community has felt. Everything from the racism to the successes. All of that is what makes us good electeds, because when we step in there, we know exactly how our community needs to be guided, and we listen to our community, and we need someone in office that does that, and I could not be happier than to be here with Steve. And so I'm going to leave it at that. I urge you, please go out, vote Democrat, down the ballot, make sure that we are electing people who are putting us, and not politics, who are doing what our community needs, based on hope, based on scientific evidence, based on numbers, and not based on fear or how they could get richer. Thank you.
So again, folks, come out to vote election day. We had a bunch of testimonies from leaders all across New York here. Stephen Raga. So to close it out, why don't we just do the chant of his last name? Raga, 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 Raga. Folks, thank you so much. So we're out on Tuesday. If you want to volunteer, I think John and Victoria and we are here to take up any volunteers. So again, let's vote blue and let's stay blue and let's keep New York blue.